everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Soshtvi and today we're doing a video that's a little bit different. I've done this before last year as well. I'm talking about all the movies and shows that I've been loving recently, and honestly, I just wanna yap about them. I've seen some really good ones recently and some that have just been on my mind a lot. Yeah, I just needed a reason to talk about them, so here we are. I'm loving how my hair is looking today. You can't see the blue, but yeah, loving the eye look as well. Sorry, off topic. But yeah, basically talking about a lot of movies, a lot of TV shows, what I've been loving, what I would recommend, and stuff like that. I did this almost a year ago, and I also tried recording like a part 2 of that a few months down the line as well. But I didn't like how the video turned out, so I never posted it. But I hope to do more and more of these because I do love watching a lot of movies and a lot of TV shows. If you've been watching for a while, you probably know that already. So yeah, I can't wait to like get into these and talk about them a little more. Yeah, anyway, lots of mindless yapping happening so far, but let's get into it. Okay, the first movie I want to talk about is Inside Out 2. I recently rewatched it. It's such a good movie. It performed fantastically in the box office last year and with good reason. It's an animated movie, and honestly, what a wild concept. Inside Out is about Riley, this girl, and her emotions have been personified in this movie. In the first movie, we follow her 5 main emotions, which are like anger, joy, sadness, all of those emotions, and they've been personified as like tiny people inside her brain. In the second movie, she's going through puberty, we have a lot more emotions, a lot of other things, and it's such a lovely and heartwarming movie. I feel like Pixar movies, Disney movies have my heart all the time because they're just so heartwarming and they still feel so real. They're so beautifully done as well, they're so aesthetically pleasing. But also, this movie just feels so special to me because it's such a great way for people to understand how their emotions work and how their mind works. Like, it's so fascinating the way they deal with everything, the entire range of your emotions, the entire spectrum of it, how your consciousness works, how your subconsciousness works, all of it, and it's been done such a fun and interactive way. Like, honestly, I'm a little jealous of the kids growing up these days because they're gonna grow up with a movie like this. It's gonna teach them how to understand themselves so much better. I wish we had something like this growing up. It's such a fantastic movie. The first time I had watched it was with my sister in the theater. The entire time, both of us were like, oh my god, we needed this movie. Like, we needed this movie. It's meant for kids, but we needed this movie. Also, as like a mental health professional, it was so nice to see the research that has definitely gone into the movie and how much care they've taken into making this movie. Like, there's a particular scene where Riley is having an anxiety attack, and they don't outright say what's happening, but they show her going through the five senses method to calm her anxiety and to deal with her panic attack. It was a very subliminal thing that they did, but it was so nice to see. And they've done things like this throughout the movie. I don't know, I don't know, what a fantastic movie. If you are yet to watch Inside Out, please go ahead and watch it. It's a fantastic movie. I honestly think that even if you're not into animated movies, it's a movie you can enjoy. Like, it's so fun, it's very out there, it's very lively. And I know sometimes people think that these movies are like made for kids, so you won't have fun watching it, but you will. You definitely will. The next movie I want to talk about is something I watched very recently during the last week of December. It's called My Old Ass and it's on Prime. I haven't seen a lot of people talking about it, and I want more people to talk about it because it was such a fantastic movie once again. It's a coming of age story about our main character whose name I have forgotten as of now. But she's turning 18. We meet her on the day she's turning 18, and she decides to try mushrooms for the first time with her friends, and she gets really high and she hallucinates her old self, her older self, her 39-year-old self who's come here from the future to talk to her. And she thinks she's hallucinating, but she's actually not. Her 39-year-old self is actually very much present in her reality. So it's very magical realism based basically. And throughout the movie, we see her interacting with her old self and what those interactions look like and what she's trying to learn from her older self and advice that she's taking from her older self. And her older self tells her a piece of advice to follow, one thing that she's supposed to avoid, that she regrets. And we see her tackling that throughout the entire movie, and also tackling being 18, having to move out from where she lives, dealing with her family, dealing with love. A lot of exploration of identity as well, sexual identity, because when we meet her, she very much firmly believes that she is gay, but then she starts to have feelings for a boy and she starts discovering what it means to maybe be bisexual. Just a lot of great elements of friendship and family and love, what it feels like to be 18 and on the precipice of like discovering what the world is and discovering who you are. But at the same time, there's a lot of elements of adulthood and what that looks like, and the regrets that we carry with ourselves, and how the weight of the world feels on our shoulders when we're older. It's a beautiful combination of those two sides. And the actors have done such a great job. It stars Maisie Stella and Aubrey Plaza. So obviously the acting was phenomenal and on point. The dialogue was so authentic and the setting was so beautiful. It's set in like a small town by a lake, and like her family owns a farm, so it has very like lake house summer vibes to it. Very, very calming, very soothing to watch, and some great messaging. Honestly, I feel like I found that movie at the right time for me personally. There's a lot of conversations about a lot of serious themes as well as lighter themes. And there are two conversations that happen in this movie towards the end of the movie that I feel like I needed to hear personally. It made me shed a tear as well. So, yeah, all in all, it's honestly a beautiful movie. If you haven't seen it, if you haven't even heard of it, I would encourage you to push yourself and watch it because it was fantastic. I'm so glad I found it. Next, I want to talk about Deadpool and Wolverine because I realized that I never spoke about it on my channel here, and I'm a huge Marvel fan, or at least I used to be. I still do keep up with Marvel, but I don't know if I'm a fan because as of now, everything that Marvel's putting out is very hit or miss. But Deadpool and Wolverine was a hit. Yo, that was so good. I had so much fun. I watched it twice in the theater because it was just so much fun. That opening sequence with Bye 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 killed me. I just remember the first time I watched it, I was instantly dancing in the theater because I know the choreography to it. Ever since it's been on streaming on Disney Plus, the number of times I just put the movie on just to watch the opening sequence. I don't even watch the rest of the movie, just that opening sequence, because honestly, it's probably one of the hardest opening sequences I've ever seen in a movie, hands down. But also, the rest of the movie was fantastic. Honestly, had so much fun. It was funny, it was quirky, it was emotional as well. And honestly, after everything that's been happening in the superhero universe with both Marvel and DC, I think it was about time we got a movie that was just light and engaging, just full of that cheesy superhero ness that these superhero movies used to be back in the day. I had fun, and that's what superhero movies used to be for me when I was growing up. They used to just be fun and they were challenging the boundaries of my imagination. So I feel like that's what I felt when I was watching this movie. Loved it. The next movie I want to talk about is Control, like CTRL. It's on Netflix and it stars Ananya Pandey. Now, I wasn't expecting much from this movie when I put it on, but bro, it was so good. It was genuinely so well done. I think, first of all, I'm very impressed by the way they shot this entire movie. This entire movie has been shot as if it's being recorded through a laptop, a laptop screen. The entire thing is done that way. It's such a fantastic concept, and I feel like Ananya Pandey has done such a good job in this movie. Like, I know when she first came into the industry, her start wasn't too strong, but I feel like she's been consistently improving with every movie. So I'm honestly like really excited to see what she brings ahead. And if you haven't seen Control, Control is about Ananya Pandey's character, who is an influencer, and she runs a couple channel with her boyfriend. But then one day she's trying to surprise her boyfriend and she's making a video out of it, and then she catches him cheating on her and she throws a whole tantrum. All of that is happening live on YouTube, and then she starts getting trolled on the internet. And then when she tries to start picking her life back up and restarting her YouTube journey and her influencer journey, she starts using the help of an AI program that starts doing all the work for her. And then that AI program starts creating some problems for her, and we see that entire journey happening. It's honestly a great movie that sheds so much light on influencer culture, internet trolling, and especially the perils of AI. And I feel very passionately about the progress of AI. Honestly, I don't have the best feelings towards it. So I feel like this movie was such a great exploration of the issues that can come with AI. And there's so many layers to it. There's so many layers to the problems that could be presented because of AI and how our personal security is in danger because of it. Yeah, I was really surprised by how much I enjoyed that movie. So if you haven't seen Control, I would highly recommend, honestly. Like, great movie. Then I also watched Kill a couple of months ago. I had been interested in this movie for a while for a number of reasons. It stars Raghav Jayal, and I have been the biggest fan of him for years, ever since I saw him in Dance Near Dance Season 3. He has been one of the reasons why I pushed myself into a dance career. So I've just been a huge fan of him ever since. I followed everything that he does, and the fact that he's shifted into the acting career now and he's doing so well for himself, it's so nice to see. And when Kill came out, I was excited to watch it, but at the same time, I was also hesitant because we see a lot of people change careers. We see a lot of people who go from like dancing to acting or from influencing to acting, and they don't usually do the best job. So I was hesitant a little bit, but the reviews were crazy about this movie. People were praising this movie like no other. People were praising him like no other. So I got really curious. I watched it with my parents, and oh my god, the movie is insane. I won't say it's the best action movie out there, which by the way, if you don't know what it's about, it's an action thriller, and it's a really gory one at that. It's about this one guy against a gang of people on a murder spree in this train. That's the best way I can describe the plot of this movie. And like I said, it's not the best thing out there because I feel like the characters were not fleshed out in the best way. The plot wasn't fleshed out enough. But the action, incredible. Definitely some of the best action I've seen out of a Bollywood movie. Like, it's super gory and super graphic, so keep that in mind if you haven't watched the movie and you want to watch it but you're sensitive to all of that. It's very graphic, but it's been done so well. All the fight choreography is completely on point. The ideas that these creators have had for the fight sequences, brilliant, honestly brilliant. The actors have done such a good job. Raghav has done such a fantastic job, you guys. Like, genuinely, because I follow him on social media, I knew that he had put himself into acting classes for a while. And honestly, those classes have paid off because phenomenal work in this movie. And I think the best part of this movie was that they weren't afraid to go to some darker places with their action. Like, I feel like a lot of Bollywood movies really hesitate to really go into the deeper, darker places in their action, in the sequences, but they weren't. Creators for this movie really said we're gonna go all out and we're gonna make it super, super intense and super graphic, and it paid off. It was great. It was very entertaining to watch in that sense. So yeah, Kill is definitely a good one-time watch for me. Another movie I watched recently was Jigra, Alia Bhatt and Vedang Raina. I have very mixed opinions about this movie. I am a huge fan of Alia Bhatt. I feel like she's a brilliant actress. Every movie she does is phenomenal. So I was excited for this movie, and also because it had a very unique plot. The plot of the movie is basically that Alia Bhatt and Vedang Raina, their characters, I'm forgetting their names, but always the case with me. But their characters are siblings. But basically, her brother goes abroad for like a business deal with a friend of his, and he gets wrongfully imprisoned. He gets wrongfully arrested for a crime that he did not commit, and the rules there are very, very strict against that certain crime. So he gets dealt the death penalty. I've been trying to say those words for the last 5 minutes. He gets dealt the death penalty. Jesus. So the movie is basically about his experience in prison and her flying there, trying to get him out of prison and trying to get him out of this death punishment, and about other people that she meets there who also have family imprisoned there, and how they start trying to figure out a way to get them out of this prison. So on the surface, a very unique and interesting plot, and it starts off really well as well. But I feel like there's just something in this movie that they missed the mark with. To start with, like, I feel like Alia Bhatt's character was such a, I don't know how to describe it. I feel like there was nothing to her personality except the fact that she is ruthless and cares for her brother. I feel like Alia Bhatt was a caricature of what a strong woman is supposed to be. I've talked about this before, about how in the last few years media has dictated that a strong woman means she's ruthless and unfeeling, and that's it. Those are the boundaries of a strong woman, and that's what this movie was trying to put across, that she's strong because she and her brother have been through a lot as kids, and she's the one taking care of him always. So she's a caretaker and she's ruthless about her ways, and she doesn't care about anything except her brother. And so her personality really got lost in translation. There wasn't much to her character except that. So her actions and her behavior sometimes were just very hard to place throughout the movie. You weren't really connecting with her. And the plot too, like I feel like some aspects of the plot were done well, but some really weren't. It was just confusing. Some things felt realistic, some did not feel realistic. I every time I think about the movie, I don't know how to feel about it because I still cannot exactly place what is wrong with the movie, but there's just something off about it. So yeah, I feel very conflicted about Jigra. Like I think it's nice, it's a good one-time watch, but it's not all that, even though it could have been, but it's not, you know. But one thing I will say though, it has a fire soundtrack. The soundtrack is amazing. I listen to it every day. Some beautiful songs on there. I don't know. I guess there's at least that. Okay, done with the movies. Let's talk about a few shows now. The first show I want to talk about is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. If you guys don't know, Good Girl's Guide to Murder is one of my favorite book series of all time. It's a YA murder mystery about this girl who, you know, in her town there had been a murder that happened a few years back, and for a school project she starts researching that murder, and she firmly believes that the killer that they had accused back then was wrongfully accused, and that she can figure out who the real murderer is. So she starts her own investigation. So that's what the book is about, and the show is based on that book. And honestly, I really liked the show. It wasn't the best thing we could have received, but honestly, the show had like 6 episodes only to cram an entire book's plotline, a very detailed plotline at that. So I feel like they did the best that they could. I do wish the show could have been better in terms of her investigation. Like in the book, her investigation is so unique and so interesting to read about that I haven't seen in other books, which is I think my main reason for why the show isn't as good as the book, unfortunately. And also in the show at the end, she figures out the truth of what happened by fluke. Like something happens totally by accident, which really pissed me off. I was talking about it in my last video as well about how I don't like when characters win by luck, especially because in the book it did not happen by luck. That is something that pissed me off. But beyond that, honestly, the show is very well done. The characters, brilliant acting, all of them have great chemistry with each other. I feel like a lot of things were done really well. It was very grounded, felt very real. Like if I hadn't read the book and I started watching the show, I would have absolutely ate it up and enjoyed it and loved it. Like I think it was done really well in some aspects. Some of the scenes were very beautifully shot too. Even though you could tell that, you know, the show had a lower budget in some places, like a lot of the spaces they tried to fill with less dialogue, more music, the way they shot and edited the show, you can tell the budget is on the lower end, but it was still a really like cozy watch, to be honest. Like I really like the show. I look forward to season 2 as well. It's renewed for a second season, so we get the second book in the second season. Super excited for that. The fact that we renewed for a second season, and the fact that, you know, I feel like 8 times out of 10 I feel like screen adaptations of these books, they don't really happen in the best way. So the fact that we were able to get a decent season 1, a good season 1, I'm excited for season 2. Next, Selling Sunset. Oh my god. Believe it or not, I'm a huge fan of Selling Sunset. I don't watch a lot of reality shows, but Selling Sunset has a chokehold on me like no other. If you don't know, Selling Sunset is a reality TV show about this really fancy real estate agency set in Los Angeles, and the agents there sell these houses that are worth millions of dollars to basically people in Hollywood. And it's so entertaining to watch. I watch it for two reasons. The houses, beautiful houses. Oh my god, I love the entire real estate side of it. And also the drama. Oh my god, when I tell you this, the show has the most petty and also the most catty drama of all time. Like genuinely, it's just entertaining. I don't know what to tell you. Like there's absolutely zero learning value in this show. The horizons of your mind aren't expanding. Your brain cells are probably depleting when you watch this show. But it's so fun. I don't know what to say. The drama in the pretty houses. Sometimes that's all you need in life to like just chill. So I love watching that show, honestly. I eat it up every time. We have like 8 or 9 seasons so far. Loved it. I hope there's a next season. I will eat that up too. I will eat up as many seasons as they put out, honestly. And if you want to know who my favorites are, I think it's probably between Chriselle, Emma, and Mary. Probably. So yeah, Selling Sunset. If you want something dramatic and fun and unserious, watch it. Genuinely, it's so fun. And honestly, I feel like sometimes I watch that show to feel better about myself. Not gonna lie. I watch the way these people behave on these shows, these rich, out of touch people behave, and I just feel so much better about myself. It's a mood uplifter. Two other shows I want to talk about quickly. Only Murders in the Building. It's my comfort show. It's about murders. It's about, if you don't know what it's about, it stars Selena Gomez and Martin Short and Steve Martin. Three brilliant actors, and their chemistry is out of this world. So it's about these three people who live in this building where a murder takes place, and they all love listening to these murder podcasts. So when the murder takes place in their building, they decide to make a podcast of their own and investigate this. It's a true crime comedy, so we get like a perfect balance of the mystery, investigation, the true crime aspects of it, and also the comedy. And I feel like it's the show is genuinely so funny. Their chemistry is bang on point, and they couple the humor in the show, which is on point, so well with the serious moments of the show and the murders that take place. Like it's so well balanced, it's so well acted, the stories eat every single time. Even though the show is surrounding murders, it doesn't feel heavy and triggering, and it doesn't feel like, oh my god, I need to like be in a certain place mentally to be able to watch the show. It genuinely is a comfort watch for me. I love watching the show. Every season I eat it up every single time, and their investigations are always just so fun, so goofy. So, and not just the three of them, a lot of the other residents of the building, their neighbors, are also involved the entire time in the storylines, and every single one of them is such a character. Genuinely, the entire cast is a joy to watch. The latest season as well was so much fun for me to watch. They could produce 50 seasons of this show, and I would watch all of them. Love them. Highly recommend. And the other show I want to talk about is Dancing with the Stars. Season 33 just came out, and I love Dancing with the Stars. I've been watching since forever, and I must say, I don't watch every single season. Definitely skip seasons here and there if I don't find the cast interesting, and 90% of the time I am watching for the choreographers. I hadn't been watching for a couple of seasons, and in season 33 I found out that a couple of Olympians were going to be on the show, like Ilona Maher and Stephen Rosick were going to be on the show. And I watched the Olympics like crazy last year, and I was familiar with all the athletes and all the bigger athletes as well. So when I heard that they're going to be on the show, I was like, I'm locked in. Hands down, I am locked in. So it was so much fun. I forgot how much I've missed watching the show. I've grown up watching dance shows all my life. All kinds of dance shows you can think of, I've grown up watching them. So it was fun to revisit all the choreographers. I've also grown up watching Julia and Derek Huff. So honestly, so much fun. I forgot how much fun it is to watch the show. The dances were beautiful. Do I agree with the top three ranking this time around? Not particularly. Like, I do feel like Joey deserved to win, but the rest of the numbers were definitely off. Beyond that, fun time. Just a fun time. So that was another show I really enjoyed watching. And if you're wondering if I'm gonna mention Outer Banks, no, I'm not. If you know anything about me, or if you watched my review of Outer Banks, you already know what my history with Outer Banks is. Long story short, for people who don't know, I was obsessed with the show, still am. Like crazy obsessed with the show ever since it came out. Season 4 ruined everything for me, for everyone basically. So I have decided to not watch season 5 unless they bring Rudy back, unless they bring JJ back. I am not watching season 5. But yeah, season 4 wrecked me. I am still reeling from that, from what happened. I am still reading fan fiction every day to cure myself of that pain. In my head, OBX happened only till season 3. Season 4 does not exist for me, apart from some of the storylines. The season 4 ending does not exist for me, and the season 4 fixed fan fictions are my only truth. That's what is real. That is what is canon to me. Yeah, as much as I would have liked to mention Outer Banks in this recap video about my favorite shows and movies, I'm not going to. It's not. It feels so weird. It feels so weird to say it's not part of my favorite shows. It's been my favorite for so long. I've been saying it all the time, and now I can't say that. It just feels wrong. Oh my god. But I will say I have started rewatching Outer Banks. I for the longest time thought I could not bring myself to rewatch the show anymore, which is crazy because I used to watch that show every day. But recently, a week ago, I started rewatching the show. I will only watch up till season 3 and maybe some parts of season 4, and after that I will read the fan fictions. So for me, that's my rewatch order now. Season 1, 2, 3, parts of 4, and then the fan fictions. That's my OBX update for you guys. So yeah, that's all the fun stuff I've been watching, like the stuff that's worth mentioning at least. I have been rewatching some stuff as well. Like I rewatched the Harry Potter movies during December. Ah, what a time. As a kid, I used to watch them all the time. I used to read the books all the time, but I hadn't watched the movies in a while. So, rewatching them in December, so much fun. Peak holiday moment. Other things I rewatched are things like Maxton Hall. I've talked about it before. Love Maxton Hall. I rewatched the Transformers movies. Oh my god, banging movies. Only the first two movies though, not the third one. That movie sucks, but the first two movies, bangers. Oh my god. I rewatched Stranger Things. I made my mom watch Stranger Things. She loved it as well. That's also my favorite show, apart from Outer Banks, in the last few years, that is. Cannot wait for season 5 this year. This year, we get season 5, the final season of Stranger Things. So excited. Can't wait for it. We'll probably rewatch the show again. I rewatched the Maze Runner movies. That was fun as well. And then I also just rewatched movies like 10 Things I Hate About You, A Walk to Remember, classics. A Walk to Remember for the longest time was like my comfort movie. And it was like my guilty pleasure because back in the day when I was a teenager, I was not into romances. And even now I'm very picky with my romances. But back then I was a full on like romance hater. And somehow this movie struck me like gold. Like I don't know what it is about this movie, but it captivated me so bad. I used to watch this movie at least once every few weeks, like every month, and cry every single time. I don't know what it is about this movie. It got to me. It got to me bad. So for the longest time, I used to call this my guilty pleasure because I hated romances, but I loved this movie. So yeah, take it from a girl who hated romance. If you also hate romances, give a Walk to Remember a chance. But yeah, Walk to Remember, 10 Things I Hate About You, Anyone But You, and the usual Disney movies, High School Musical I rewatched, had so much fun. Tinkerbell, I rewatched Tinkerbell after years. I think the last time I saw it was when I was a kid, but my sister and I rewatched Tinkerbell. Dude, what a cozy movie. I forgot how cozy this movie was. Oh my god. I've always had a thing for like fairies and magic, and this movie does it like no other. It was so cozy, so beautiful, so aesthetic, so soothing and pleasing to watch. There's just something about animated movies that's so comforting. No matter how old I get, I think I will always keep watching animated movies. They have my heart. They're so powerful, and I truly think that there's no age bar to these movies. And basically, yeah, those are all the movies and all the shows that I've been enjoying, that I've been loving. As of now, this is what I've been watching. I just want to talk about them. That's all. This wasn't even a, hey, I'm here to recommend. I hope you watch. It was just, I need to talk about them. Me. That's it. But even then, I hope you got some good recommendations out of this. If you haven't seen something, pick them up. Genuinely, everything I've mentioned in this video, masterpiece. Masterpieces all around, including Selling Sunset. So yeah, watch them. If you have watched them already, if you have watched something, let me know. Let's discuss. I'm open to it. That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to follow me on Instagram or my other socials, linked below. I think that's about it. That's all I have to say. So yes, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time.